Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is the thing that started off the long history of Disney and their animation domination, basically. That is a Fox thing. Well, they own Fox now, so I guess that doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, this is the movie that defined Disney in the animated feature realm, doing something that not many, if any, had done before. This is 1937. This is one of the earliest pieces of any kind of Disney animation. I mean, they've done Mickey Mouse shorts. They were black and white, Steamboat Willie, things like that. But this is big. This is an hour and 24 minutes, and yeah, it's huge. And it's the way it was animated was done in a different way than any other film before that. I've been to the Disney lot a number of times, and in one of their buildings is a thing called the multi-plane camera, and it is this thing stands a good 7-8 feet tall. You can look it up online. You can see pictures of it. It's on display. It shows how they layered the different scenes, how they showed depth between certain aspects of the background and the characters and everything else. And that's just one aspect of the animation. They also, if you notice how the human-sized actors, the Evil Queen, Snow White, Prince Charming, they all kind of move like real people. It's because, and this is not the only film that Disney used this in, but it's they've actually filmed real people performing these motions and dancing and singing and whatever they have to be doing, running from things. There's a whole sequence where Snow White is running through the woods for fear for her life, and it's very fluid motion. It feels like a real person is moving, not just a silly cartoon. It's kind of like the dwarves. They move like animated characters because their proportions are different and everything else is a little bit different than a human. But Snow White was performed by an actual human being, and then they hand hand drew over top of each, well, as many cells as they could get in order to create a fluid movement. Uh, you'll notice they did this Alice in Wonderland. I've seen a video going around showing how the actress who played Alice in Wonderland, who looked pretty much like Alice, uh, performed those scenes, and then they animated over her. Same thing with this. I could, if I'm absolutely wrong, I just watch these things and immediately jump to the camera and record my reaction with as little knowledge as possible, except for rare occasions. So, in this situation, you could prove me wrong. If I am wrong, go ahead, comment, tell me how wrong I am. Anyway, but from my perspective, I understand this is all shot in real life action and then animated over, and it's at times it seems unsettling to see when you're not expecting it, but it's once you realize what they did to put this thing together at a time when we have so many shortcuts thanks to technology with computers and everything else, and while it's infinitely more complicated now, the renderings and the detail, it's infinitely harder, I think, work back then when you're having a number of people just drawing each frame by hand and then building it out over 120 an hour and 24 minute movie. This is what made it. There's obviously unused scenes. It's a testament to what would come to what would come in the future with Disney, and the reason why it dominates. It's why it's the biggest animation studio in the world in history. So beyond the animation and how the technology and how they put that all together, uh, I was surprised. Okay, I have to admit something again. I don't know if I've ever fully seen this movie. Yes, I know it's a classic. It is Disney. Um, I'm sure I saw it when I was a little kid, but as an adult, no, I have not seen this as a grown adult paying direct attention to this movie. I've been to Disneyland a billion times, and it's this the story, the characters, you see them, uh, it, all the merchandise, everything else. It's not like you can run away from it. You know certain things. You know about the evil queen turning into an old crone and trying to give the apple to Snow White, and all the dwarfs. All Happy, Sneezy, Doc, Dopey, all of them. Uh, it's not like you don't people don't know what Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are, so it's almost like I feel like I've grown up with it, but I honestly have never consciously seen this as an adult. So this is a big deal for me, seeing this historic moment, piece of animation history this time. Uh, what I was surprised by was, there's a lot. Uh, that the Queen and Snow White never come in contact until like the last 15 minutes of the movie. Yeah, last 15 minutes. I mean, the mirror basically tells the witch, or the queen, I should say, tells the queen, hey, you are not the prettiest woman in the world. That belongs to a girl who happens to be a princess, and she knows who she is. It's her stepdaughter. I think Snow White makes a reference to her stepmother. What is it with evil stepmothers at Disney? I mean, either there's one parent or there's an evil stepmother. There's some sort of familial problem the writers of these things had back then. I don't know. It seems strange. But yeah, so we have very small microcosm of people who seem to know each other, and one assumes that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, and she's outdone by a teenager who is just nice and doesn't really do anything, and she then gets the word that because I'm not ruining this thing's almost 100 years old. The queen sends a huntsman to kill her and bring back her heart. Symbolic. And the huntsman can't do it, so he tells her to run, and there's the great sequence like I mentioned earlier. She runs the woods and everything sort of morphs around her. I think it's her panic. The woods aren't actually magical and coming to life to attack her, but it's her. She's freaking out. Hysteria. So when she finally calms down, she notices that all the animals really seem to like her, and they listen to everything she says, so they help her out and point her to an empty house in the woods that she just seems to move into. She assumes that breaking and entering is fine. She's a princess, and it's messy, so her first instinct as royalty is to clean everything up and then take a nap in one of the tiny beds that she assumed belonged to 7 children with no parents that are now not at home for some reason. So and of course, when the dwarfs show up, who they're miners, they dig for gems, and there's no shortage of gems in this mine. It's not like normal mines where you're digging and digging and digging, and hopefully you find something. It's just gems everywhere. So I don't know why there's only so much gems you can have, and what do they do with them? They don't seem to be using it to buy a great house, or when there's the greatest effort that they put in all day was actually washing their hands, and they made a song about it, and they fought it as hard as they could until they decided to, because of the song, they could make it a game, and suddenly they were clean and they were allowed to eat the meal that the woman that they just met made for them. And by the way, I mean, you realize that these 7 guys are pretty much just aspects of one man, that she's just, feminism. I don't know. She just shows up and treats the man like he's a child, and they are pretty much act like children. They are grumpy, or they're discombobulated. They can't say the right word at any given moment, or they're just dopey in love, sleepy. She's pretty much putting up with all of this crap, and then just says, you gotta wash your hands if you're gonna eat after I make this meal for you. So I don't relations in the 1930s, I guess. So I don't know. Yeah, so there's your gender roles for you, uh, sussed out from almost 100 years ago, a little less than 80 years ago. Well, 80-ish years ago. Yeah, almost. So yeah, you have a little bit of history on that. And of course, she waits. None of the aspects, the 7 aspects of this representations of a man, are good enough for her. It's the guy she met for a half second while she was wandering around outside before she was told she was going to be killed by her stepmother that she fell in love with. And by the way, the timeline on this is kind of wonky. It appears that she meets these guys one day. They're partying, they're just dancing and singing and having a great time. By the way, the music is wonderful. It's just charming and it's fun and it's adorable, and the character animation mixed with the music and everything else is just it's pure Disney. So you getting all that, great. So she lives with them for, well, I mean, actually the topic comes up after all this partying and everything else of where she's going to sleep the moment she gets a little bit tired. She says it's bedtime. So I'm guessing all this happened in one day. One day. So they wake up the next day and they go off to work, and she kisses them all at the door like a good wife. And but they're really her children. They're really her man children, because of their height. And so then she, old woman, well, the queen turns herself into a crone and offers her an apple and says it's a magic apple, and she's just fallen for it, of course, because what do you do when a salesman comes by and says, hey, this is going to change your life, everything you ever wanted in this vacuum, an apple, and you're going to fall for it. And even though you see her backing up, because, you see the moment where the old lady's laying it on thick, it just seems weird that she's sort of like apprehensive, but yet she still takes a bite and she conks out. The sleeping death or whatever. And then you get the impression that, okay, I'm not going to skip over this. I can't skip over this because it is one of my favorite parts of the movie. And I can't spoil this for you because the movie's almost 100 years old again. I cannot stress this enough. If you are worried about the ending being ruined, then you probably should stop watching right now. But you had your chance 80-something years ago, I think. So anyway, she poisons Snow White. She collapses to the ground, dead. And then the animals, by the way, see what's going on. They know that she's the queen come to kill Snow White. And the animals all rush to the mine where the dwarves are, and they try to get them to come back to save Snow White. And they don't understand what's going on. Sleepy somehow figures it out while he's dropping off to sleep. And Grumpy then says, we gotta go save her, even though he acts like he doesn't like her. We gotta go save her. So they rush back there. Of course, they're too late, but they notice that the old crone, they figure out that the old crone is the queen, I guess because of the animals, and they chase her up a mountain in the rain. Now you're animating all these characters. One is kind of like the precursor to the rotoscoping and the not rotoscoping, but motion capture. And so she's climbing a mountain in the rain, and they have to animate the rain on top of that. And it's just, there's so many layers and textures to this. It just looks beautiful. And the dwarves follow her up there, and she tries to throw a rock, a giant boulder on top of them. And as she does, lightning flashes and busts up the cliffside that she's standing on, and she falls to her death. And by the way, while this is all happening, they keep cutting to 2 vultures sitting on a tree limb watching this all play out. And you'd think, you know what? They're on her side. They're cheering for her. No. They see what's going to happen. And they... to be clear on this, the moment she falls, which just, again, try to watch that scene over and over again. Just the flash, the crackle, and then just the breakaway in her fall. It's beautifully done. And then they cut to the vultures, who just sort of, they're smiling, and the music just cuts out at that point. They jump from their limb and they swirl down towards where you assume her body is, which, we never see her dead, we never see the body, but the fact that they removed all music, removed all special sound effects, and just followed the birds enough until it faded out, you're like, they're gonna just eat her corpse. Yay, Disney. But it's a great just way to say that lady's dead. So that, to me, is a beautiful piece of movie making. Call me an idiot, I don't care, but I love that part. But of course, then they cut to a thing where it's just text on the screen explaining what happened. That after they have a little funeral for her, where all the animals and the dwarves come to, they put her in a. They don't want to bury her, so they put her in a coffin out in the woods with a glass cover. I'm sure the sun and heat and whatever other weather will have no effect on it, but this is an animated world, so bodies don't deteriorate at all. So, and by the way, while the text is up on the screen, it looks like seasons change, like snow starts falling and everything else. So technically, she's been in that coffin for months longer than the day and a half that she spent with the dwarfs. And they spend their days watching over her, animals bringing flowers to her, and they just sit there and they kneel and weep in front of her until the Prince Charming comes singing his way into the woods, like, where have you been? And he's like, you know what? That corpse that's been sitting in a glass cage for the last 6 months. By the way, it's no longer winter anymore, it's spring. That corpse that's been sitting there for 6, 7, 8 months, I think I'm going to go in there, open that up, and kiss her. That's the first thought that comes to my mind. I don't know anything about some sort of kissing resurrection thing. I'm Prince Charming. I kiss dead girls in the woods, and they come back to life. Happily ever after. So, yeah, that's how it works. Hey, it's Disney. It's you got to focus on the magic, not on, debunking reality within it. It's or pretending that it's real. I know. I'm not trying to say that it should have been more realistic, because we're dealing with magic death apples and princesses that living with 7 dwarves and animals that wash dishes. So yeah, it's not a real world, but it is fantasy and it is Disney. And hey, someday your prince will come. So that's what it's all about, right? Wait for that dude. He's coming to get you. Kiss you in the woods when you're dead. So that's how it works. Anyway, here we go. We're going to pick. I can't think of anything else I could really say about Snow White. It's a lovely film. It is. It's not the kind of thing that I'm like, oh my god, I need to watch this over and over again. But for the animation, the music, and just the history, I love it. So it's something that every Disney fan should watch, even if it's not their cup of tea, if it's not their pace of when it comes to a film. You love the princesses, you love the classic Disney. You can't get more classic than this. Steamboat Willie, but still, princess classic. All right, here we go. Picking tomorrow's episode.
645.
645. I think we've had this one before. Remember, this all gets rebooted come October 1st. So we're coming up on that real fast. And it will never get a duplicate again. No, we did not have this. I can't remember if I actually saw this or not, but I don't think it's the kind of thing I would have raced out to see. But yeah, we'll see. We're going to watch it now, though. It's The Pacifier. I think that's Vin Diesel. I'm pretty sure it's Vin Diesel. playing tough guy, babysitting kids, because that's the role that every macho man has to go through to show his softer side. After blowing up stuff and shooting everybody in existence, you've got to then play that character in relation to children to show that you know what, you have range. So, anyway, I'm pretty sure The Pacifier is a Vin Diesel movie. If not, it's some other all just no neck bulky dude. So, if it's a Rock, I'll be surprised. I think he did a different one. But The Pacifier on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye. Turns out The Pacifier does not exist. I've searched as much as I could on this and my computer to make sure that there were no weird variations. I searched for Vin Diesel. I know it was on Disney Plus at one point, but it's gone now. So we have to pick another one. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't figure out stuff that just gets taken off for no reason. So here we go. We're gonna pick the next one.
529.
529. It's close, but it's not. I don't think it's one of the numbers that I'm really hoping for. Early 500s are Star Wars, and I haven't had Star Wars in a while. And I know I've seen all of them, but okay. All right. There we go. We're gonna get a documentary this time, so it shouldn't take too long. I think it's probably just one episode, probably 44 minutes or something. Stonehenge Decoded. Secrets Revealed. We're going to decode Stonehenge. Well, that should be interesting. Probably better than The Pacifier. So, anyway, well, I'll see you back here tomorrow with Stonehenge Decoded. Secrets Revealed on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. See ya.